Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the final video of the 2023 Major League Baseball predictions for individual divisions. And we're to my division, right over here, the Rockies. Um, and what really triggered all of this, if you guys didn't watch the rant video, was I heard a quote by Dick Monfort, and that guy really needs to just stop talking. No one believes anything. You're like a politician. No one believes anything coming out of your mouth. You don't want to. Your main goal is just to make money from the team. We've seen that time and time again. Every time we get a great player traded, it's almost like we're a farm team for the Yankees. I can't tell you how many people have gone to the Yankees from the Rockies, but I see players all over the league becoming all stars and all of that on other teams that started on the Rockies. And if we would just spend a little bit of cash and keep some of these guys, I know they tried to do that for Arenado, and I understand Arenado wanted to go somewhere else because the ownership and the leadership at the top doesn't seem to want to win games. I know it's tricky because, like the Dodgers and the Yankees, they have unlimited and very deep pockets. So they just buy up, all the great players, and then you have like a all-star game every night with, the Dodgers being on the field, or the Astros, or the Yankees, or whoever it's been over the years, Reds, and the Big Red Machine, and all of that. Um, so, all of that being said, let me get into the adjusted numbers here, and then get into a little bonus coverage. Uh, I I have more thoughts with this division because I know it and I've watched it for so long, so I feel like I know it a little bit better than any of the other divisions. So let's just jump into the numbers as I adjusted them. Now, I gave the Rockies a phenomenal amount of wins due to the rule change, only because the the chart I was looking at for hitters parks versus pitchers parks, Coors Field is like triple any other number on that list. It is phenomenally well for batters, and with the inability to shift players, in the bigger size of bags, the pitch clocks, everything, the way the rules shifted, I really do feel it favors batters. So I think what you're going to see is uh, a lot more offense, a lot more hitting, home runs, runs in general. So I gave them a lot of runs for that, uh, and only really pitching has always been the Achilles heel in Colorado. So you have the flip side of that. You have this phenomenally good hitting ballpark. And back when you had the Lake Street Bombers, and throughout the years, you had Eric Young, you had all these guys. They really know how to hit. If you had any pitching with those guys at all, you might have some rings. They might have been, you know, wearing some jewelry and having some trophies in the office, but they don't. Um, and I get it. The altitude's hard to pitch at. It is what it is. Both teams pitching, so opposing pitchers have to come in and deal with those same batters and all of that. So if you're facing a better batting ball club and you have some pitching behind that, when pitchers come here, that it's a losing proposition. It really is that simple. Um, let me. I know I got sidetracked. I'm gonna get sidetracked a little bit more on this division. Let me go through the numbers. I have the Rockies improving by 14. I have them moving into fourth place over the D-backs by one. One game. That's it. And not really by any movement by either team. The D-backs seem to improve a little bit more on their roster, but not a heck of a lot. I'm not expecting big things out of the Rockies or the Diamondbacks this year. Now, that being said, again, the Giants kind of stuck where they're at, and actually, I think they end up being a little worse because of the batting rules and the ballparks. So I have them only 4 games above the Rockies, 5 above the D-backs. So I think it's going to go Giants, Rockies, D-backs for this division. Now the Dodgers, they made some moves. I thought initially it appeared that they improved. I think that was Xavier Bogaerts from Boston. They got him. They got a couple of really great players, or maybe that was the Padres, which explains the Padres number, which I will get into in just a second. The Dodgers seem to kind of remain about 30 games ahead of the Rockies, 31 of the D-backs, and it looks like about 26 above the Giants. So, and you'll have them again as the division winners. I don't see it playing out any other way. They're spending a whole lot of cash to buy wins, and they can do it year in, year out. They're in a top end market. They get that cash, the dollar bills. They spend it on the team. They know what it takes to win. They've done it. They have rings. All the above. It's very difficult to go against that pick in the NL West. If I were in Vegas, I would bet the house that the Dodgers are going to win the NL West again. I don't see it falling any other way, even with the improvements the Padres made. That being said, the Padres are trying. They are trying to win the division. They are making the moves. They just don't have everything just yet. I have them at a plus 27, 13 games above the Rockies, 14 above the D-backs, but still fall short of the Dodgers by, looks like about 16, which is a little bit better than last year, which I think they were 20-something behind, if I remember when I was just looking at it. So definitely a large improvement, but the Dodgers are so difficult. They're going to be so difficult to catch. So, all of that being said, that's how the numbers played out. Now let's get into a little bit of bonus coverage. And this is just kind of things that I've derived over the years and things that I've seen that could happen and might happen, and I don't even want to lock. I'm not going to lock in those picks. This is the first time on these lists that I'm not locking in the picks. Some other divisions had some pretty good movement and swings. I don't see a lot of that happening here. Not to any great extent. Now, I'm not going to change my top pick. I think the Dodgers win the division. That's clear. As I've said, if I were in Vegas, I'd bet the house on it. That also being said, we know the Padres beat them in the playoffs last year. And with the improvements, I believe that if the Padres meet the Dodgers again in the playoffs, they again knock the Dodgers out of the playoffs. Not only that, that second series was close enough with these improvements, depending on who they play, the Padres could actually punch their ticket to a World Series. Now, all that being said, I kind of erased my numbers so I can get the notes on a single page so you can read them while I'm doing this. That being said, the American League, the teams there, especially the Houston Astros, probably the Braves. One of those two teams, I think, are probably going to be the team for the American League. Now, I don't see anyone in the National League, with the exception of the Dodgers, beating either of those two clubs. I don't see it happening. So if it isn't the Dodgers, it's no one from the National League. So now we get to the other things that I wanted to say. Giants, D-backs, Rockies. Now, when the Giants had Tim Lincecum, they were able to pull together not only 2 World Series appearances, but a World Series win. In fact, I can't remember if it was 3 World Series appearances and 1 or 2 wins. I can't remember that offhand. But it wasn't that long ago. So when it's all said and done, the Dodgers are like the Yankees. If you want to compete in this division, you have to build your team up to beat them. And it's going to be that way. That is just the long and short. If you don't build your team to beat the Dodgers, you will not win the division. It is not going to happen. Now, the Giants are able to do this, and the Padres are able to do this. The Diamondbacks have even done that with Randy Johnson. They have a ring. One team in this list has never won the division, and only 1 World Series appearance in 2007, which was a miracle. The last 21 games of the season. Now, I do have a story about that. I remember when I was attending CSU, I went back to school because the first degree really didn't do any good. So I thought, maybe I would get a degree in something else that might actually work. That's a different story for another day. I just remember calculating in my head, I think the Rockies were, at the time, 14 games back or something like that, with 22 games to go, and I started figuring out wins and losses and all this, that, and the other, and I'm like, if the Rockies could win out from today, they could win the division. But at this point, they couldn't lose another game. I was sitting there thinking that, watching the TV, and I'm like, and I thought about it for a split second longer, and I said, well, they might be able to lose 1 and still win the division. And what happened? 21 out of the last 22 games were wins. I don't think you'll ever see anything like that again. And did they win the division? No. They had a play-in game for the playoffs, which they won that. Although Holiday, it's rumored he didn't touch the plate. They also have commercials about that. The following year for season tickets and everything, they had Holiday on there, like touching a food plate. And he's like, "Yeah, I touched it. I thought it was well done." Now I know there's controversy about that. It is what it is. They go on to the playoffs. They sweep everybody into the World Series. Then they get swept by the Red Sox, who win a second World Series since they beat the Yankees in, I think, 2001 or 2004. I can't remember. I think 2001 is the last time the Yankees have won it. Come to think of it. So, yeah, it's very interesting the way things have shaped up over the years, and how things have gone. So I'm going to say this. Let me real quick. I do have the wins, the final records from last season for the NL West up right now. So I see that the Rockies have 68 wins from last year. There's a sigh for a reason. Dick Monfort said, I feel something happening here, and it's starting basically opening day, and I think the Rockies can be competitive and can play 500 ball. Well, I hate to agree with him on that statement, but I am going to, only because I think the rule change and the number of runs and hits that the Rockies will get on offense will be enough to push that needle. I gave them something in the neighborhood of 10 wins overall. Maybe it was 12 or 13. But that was more than I'd given. That was double more than I'd given really any other team, because of the numbers being so skewed towards hitters in this ballpark. So if I take just those 13 wins, throw them up on the board, that lands the Rockies at 81 wins. Is that sickening or what? It isn't anything that Dick Monfort or the owners did. It's nothing that the front office did. It's nothing that the coaches have done. It's nothing, no trades, nothing that anyone has done, except the players are going to be performing better on the field simply because of this rule change. That's it. That's the only reason they might get to 500 this year. Now, all that being said, I've seen weird things, and back when I think it was John Gray had just started coming in on his own, and I think it was the first year, I think they made the playoffs like 2 or 3 years in a row here recently. Not last year, of course. They were horrible last year. In the year before, I think they just missed the playoffs. They were going in that negative direction. But the year before that, I was at the game right before. So about, I want to say 5 years ago, 6 years ago, John Gray had pitched. We were there in September. I think the Rockies had about 13 games to go. They were close, but you could feel they weren't going to make the playoffs. But John Gray pitched a complete game and struck out, I think it was 17 or 18. It was phenomenal. I'd never seen, and that was at Coors Field, by the way. He had struck out 17, I think it was 18. He struck out 18 batters at Coors Field. Top that. Come into Coors Field and do that. Now, granted, he's used to pitching there. But phenomenal kid. I actually didn't remember seeing his name on any of the rosters. Let me, real quick, I want to look up John Gray, because I'm really kind of curious as to where he is. Oh, he's pitching for the Rangers now. Yep, they're going to get a good pitcher for a long time. I saw this kid actually coming up. Very rarely do I pay any attention to the minor leagues or anything going on down there. But I happened to see an article where they had interviewed John Gray after he was drafted by the Rockies. And I believe he was 19 at the time. And they had said, and I think you have to be, I don't remember what the age limit is for Major League Baseball, but I think I don't even think it's 18. I think it's like 20 or 21 or something, 22 and a half. I don't remember what it is for major leaguers to actually be eligible to play in the majors. But John Gray was 19 at the time, and he said, I'm ready to pitch the major league level today. And he said it Like when I was reading that, I almost could hear his voice and the confidence and the swagger that he had. It really struck me, even just being written. I didn't even hear him say it, and with him coming up like that, and then pitching as well as he did at Coors Field, John Gray could be a Hall of Famer. I think he could be a Hall of Famer. So that's a little sidetrack. Um, all that being said, my point that I'm trying to get to is that even with these numbers showing what they do, I I could see the Rockies, and it's weird because the Rockies didn't make any changes from one of the years that they didn't make the playoffs and they won like 75 to 78 games. The next year, no major roster changes, no major pitching changes. And both years, John Gray were on the team. They went from winning like 75 to 78 to winning 92 games, 91, 92, making the wild card. And that started that 2 or 3 year span where they did that. So I could see that happening for the Rockies again here. Um, and again, the Monsfords and everybody. I think the Monsfords have it in their head that every year's different. The players could just go off. You never know. We don't really need to try to win. We don't need to build because they could just win anyway. And that's just not true. That is the hogwash. And I think they believe that as if it were the truth. So take that as you will. And if anybody's still watching, because I mean, frankly, at this point, who'd be watching me ramble on about the Rockies of all teams? But that's the long and short of it. I think if I were to just pick um, the teams, I think I would still go Dodgers, Padres, but I would go Rockies, D-backs, Giants, probably somewhere like that. And I actually think that while the Padres improved, the Rockies probably somehow miraculously hit that number right around 88 to 90 wins. They could just, and the opposite is true. That the rule changes don't make any difference. They are still bad, and with the numbers I saw, they improve 3 games, I think, 3 or 4 games. So instead of winning 68 games, they improved to 71, 72 wins. It's a huge variable gap there. But again, I think, unfortunately, without doing anything at all, the Montforts might just luck into another good season. I don't think the Rockies make the playoffs. I would not put any faith or money into that whatsoever. Um, that I don't think is going to happen. So my final picks are Dodgers, Padres, Rockies, D-backs, Giants. But the numbers play them out this way: Dodgers, Padres, Giants, um, Rockies, D-backs. So there you have it. All in all, in a nutshell. Oh, one more, like a double bonus. Um, so to kind of think about things and kind of put my money where my mouth is, I've really been thinking, if I were running the team, how would I run it? What trades would I make? What would I do to manage and run the Rockies better than the Monforts right now? And how could I actually prove in some way that I could do that. And I was actually thinking about getting MLB The Show 23 and just managing the Rockies. And by that, I mean I would just manage the trades and the players. I might manage some of the. I don't know if I want to get too fine into the details. I'd probably just try and manage from the front office and not worry about training the players or any of that finite minutia. And then simulate games week by week with the Rockies. As the Rockies play a week, then I go in and I simulate my managed Rockies team. And I was thinking about doing this and posting, a weekly update on the channel. Unfortunately, it would be through my PS5, so I don't have a camera on the PlayStation. This is all, and that all that setup is upstairs. This is down in the basement in my office, so to speak. So everything being said, if there's some interest in that, I know I can get it later as well and simulate it from like day one on what I would do. So I may go ahead and do that. To which I was also thinking, really, if I'm going to do that and truly put my money where my mouth is, I would also make some sort of promise or quote unquote bet to everybody out there in YouTube land that if I am unable to run the Rockies better than the Montforts do in real life in the simulation, I would donate, and I hesitate to say this number because it's a lot of money for me, extreme amount of money for me. I would donate $500 to either the Denver Rescue Mission or the Catholic charities, because I really believe those charities help out the homeless in getting them back up on their feet, providing a shelter and an address, someplace where they can come home, shower, eat, cook meals, and provides an address so that they can go out and find employment and actually get themselves in a more permanent way off the street. I believe both organizations do that also while preaching the gospel. So I really feel like that would be putting my money where my mouth is. So be sure if you see this video and you've watched all the way to the end, go ahead and like and share this video out there and let everybody know that I've kind of laid down the law at the end of the video. And if that's something that everybody might be interested in watching, go ahead and share it and like. And I'd be more than willing to do that. Right now, I think I have 11 subscribers, and I don't know how many people view my videos on a daily basis, but I'd be willing to say, I know this is one of those stupid YouTube things that everybody does, but I kind of have to know if there really is interest in watching these videos or any interest in watching me do that. If there's not, I don't really feel the need to try and prove to anybody that I can outmanage the Montforts. I think almost anybody who knows anything about baseball in the least can manage Rockies better than the Montforts have done for the past 30 years. So, but if there are anyone is interested in doing that, be sure to like and share. And say I laid down the law at the end of the video. Like the video, and if you're not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. And I'll tell you, we'll make it an easy target. Easy target. Right now, I have 11 subscribers. There are people that have 20 million plus subscribers, right? If I hit just 100 subscribers by, let's say, the end of May, that's over 2 months away. June 1st comes around. If I have over 100 subscribers due to this video, and there's a lot of people who have interest in seeing me try to do that and put my money on the line while doing it, more than happy to buy the game, go week for week with the Monfords and the Rockies, and I think it's going to be pretty easy to do it. Now I've said that the rule probably favors the Rockies. They probably get to 500 ball, so it might not be as easy as I think it is. But if the rules don't change really much or favor anyone, and you still see the same win-loss records kind of that you've been seeing over the last 2 or 3 years, I don't think the Rockies hit more than 72 games. I think I could manage them on the show to hit 73 or more wins. I don't think it'd be that difficult. So be sure to, one, like and share so other people can also like and share and subscribe. That's the important part. 100 subscribers by the end of May. I buy the show. I start in week 1, and I'll go for those first 2 months until I catch up. I'll probably go 2 or 3 weeks at a shot, making trades, managing things, broadcasting the whole thing live on YouTube, reposting those videos for everybody to watch, and just really, hopefully, not being so angry at the Rockies or the ownership. Really, I do wish them well, and I wish that they would spend more money and win more games and be more successful. That's, I think, why I'm more angry than anything. Is they have the capability, they have the ability to do it. They just don't, and that's irritating. Anyway, all that being said, again, like, subscribe, especially subscribe, share, and is there anything else? I think that's it. Again, everybody, just be good to each other. And I'll see you next time on Glowing Card Gaming.